What's going on, guys? Matt with MotoWorks here, and in today's video we're going to talk all about the Chrysler 300, and I'm going to kind of do the top 5 things that you're going to encounter with your Chrysler 300. I've had probably 3 out of the 5 fail so far on my car, so strap in, we'll get this video started. Alright, now the very first thing that you're going to notice on these Hemi cars in particular, now I'm not sure about the V6 or the newer Chryslers, I'm talking the 05 to 2011 Hemi cars. These engines run hot, and it's actually pretty funny to me that in my 2006 Hemi, the center of the temperature needle is at 200 degrees. Now, they didn't fix anything with the car. They just raised the temperature for the center needle. It went from 200 degrees to 215 degrees because anytime I've driven my car in traffic, it kind of hovers right around 206 to 212 degrees. Now that being said, with that hotter temperature, I found that these fans, cooling fans now I'm talking about, run constantly. It's a constant running thing in traffic. Whenever you're sitting still, these fans are always on. And that's why it's the first thing on my list of things you're going to have to replace, and what I recommend replacing at 100,000 miles regardless. Find out from the previous owner if it has had the cooling fans replaced, and if it is not, replace the cooling fans, because what's going to happen is either 1, they're going to stop working, which is the best case scenario, or 2, they explode, they take out the radiator, it ends up costing you a whole bunch of money. So do yourself a favor, replace those radiator fans, especially if you have about 100,000 miles on your car. That's number 1. The second thing that I found becomes an issue on these is the throttle body. Now this can or can't happen, and I do have a video on throttle body light. It's basically the lightning bolt comes on when there's a throttle body issue. I have a video explaining that. But the throttle body on these does go bad, and it seems to be an issue at about 120 to 150,000 miles when you'll experience throttle body issues. On my particular car, at about 126,000 is when it started giving me problems. So I'd say somewhere between that 120, 150,000 mile range, you might want to consider saving your money in the event that that throttle body does go out. Now this is something that you can do yourself. It's a very easy job to replace that throttle body yourself. You can save yourself a ton of money doing so. Drop a comment below if you guys haven't experienced any throttle body issues and what the current mileage is on your car. I'd be interested to see how many miles you guys are getting before you have issues, or if you've never had issues. And that also goes with the radiator as well, the radiator fans as well. Now the third issue you will run into with these cars is the suspension, and it's something I'm currently struggling with right now on my car. If I find a bumpy road, I'll give you more of what it sounds like. The suspension on these cars is horrible. I don't know if they undersized the suspension, if they didn't, I don't know what they did, but every Chrysler 300, if you just type Chrysler 300 suspension, Google's going to explode. I mean, there are so many suspension related issues, from ball joints, we got ball joints, we got sway bar bushings, all kinds of things give these cars issues. And it's just an issue with this car. I don't know why it is. Maybe somebody knows in the comments why it is, and maybe there's a fix for it. So if you guys have a fix for it that you know of, drop a comment on that as well. But suspension is definitely something that's going to fail, and mainly in the front suspension you're going to experience something, and that can happen as early as 50,000 miles I've seen, even earlier sometimes, all the way up through. That's an ever-present issue, and that's just something you're going to encounter if you have a Chrysler 300. I think even the Charger, Challenger, all those, they all have issues of some sort. And the bigger wheel and tire package you put on, the worse it is, and the faster the issue returns after you fix it. So just be aware of that issue there. The next up, Valvetrain issues. All right, whether it's lifters going bad, valve springs breaking, valve seats falling out, all of those things plague. Mainly the 5.7 liter has, you know, the whole gambit. And I think a lot of it spirals around the fact that it has that multi-cylinder deactivation. I know the 6.4 liter has it, and I know the 5.7 also has it. The 6.1 that I currently have in the SRT for the 06 through 2011, they just have a standard single camshaft, no cylinder deactivation. They don't seem to have the issue. It's one of the reasons why I bought the 6.1 liter, because it was one of the only ones that did not have that issue. But just be aware of that, and that can happen as soon as, you know, any mileage range, you can have a failure of that stuff. One of the things I recommend you do, especially on a 5.7 liter, if it hasn't been done, pull the heads, get the seats redone, put new valve seats in there, and kind of give yourself that added protection. You know, upgrade the Valvetrain if that's the way you want to go. You want to stick with that 5.7 liter, but do that before you start modifying it, especially because if you drop a valve seat, it's going to destroy your engine. You might get lucky, it might not completely destroy the engine, but it is going to cause havoc. It'll destroy the cylinder head. It's just not a good thing. So if you can prevent that, by all means, just go ahead and do it. The last thing is kind of not really a big issue with these, but it is a common issue. It's not going to affect how the car drives or how the car handles like the other issues that I brought up. But the last one is just body fitment issues with these cars. For whatever reason, there's just fitment issues from door gaps being excessive, the hood gaps being excessive, fender gaps, bumper gaps. The bumper tends to sag on these. You name it. The little chin spoiler starts to droop because the guard that's underneath and covers the oil pan and all that stuff underneath, usually that starts to warp and go bad, and it just causes all kinds of issues in body fitment. But it's something that plagues Chrysler products. It has plagued Chrysler products, and it's not a big issue. The stuff doesn't fall off, but it just looks bad, especially when you're looking at the car and you got this nice car. It's just no good, and to me it is an issue, but it's not going to affect how the car runs or drives. But you know, you buy a nice car, you want it to look nice. Now there are things you can do, and I'm sure people don't have it as much of an issue as other people do. My car's plagued with them, but that's kind of the top 5 things you're going to run into. If I miss something, guys, I'm always open to hear, you know, what you guys think is an issue on this car. Really, this video is just to help you guys out that are looking to maybe purchase one of these cars. It's not a bad car. I've owned mine for over a year now, and I've not had any real issues with the car besides the things I talked about, and which I don't consider to be horrible issues. So hopefully you liked the video, guys. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Again, like I said, I gave you a lot of things to comment about, so drop a comment in the comments below. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'm going to have a lot more content on the Chrysler 300 as I start doing different things to it. As always, I'm Matt. This is Motorworks. We'll see you in the next video, guys.